Imagine waking up one day to a world where every glacier, every ice cap, and every frozen landscape has disappeared. No Arctic, no Antarctic, no ice-covered mountains, just endless oceans swallowing up coastlines, cities underwater, and a climate spiraling out of control. Sounds like a sci-fi disaster movie, right? But what if I told you this could actually happen? Welcome to a future where Earth's ice is gone. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. Because the reality of this scenario isn't just about rising waters. It's about how every aspect of life on Earth, from weather to wildlife to human civilization, would be turned upside down. This isn't just a distant possibility, it's a warning we can't afford to ignore. So buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into a world without ice, and it's going to blow your mind. So how much ice are we really talking about? Well, Earth holds around 26.5 million gigatons of ice. That's enough to cover the entire United States under a layer of water more than a mile deep. The biggest chunks, the Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets. If they melted, global sea levels would rise by about 216 feet, 66 meters. That means entire cities, New York, London, Shanghai, and Miami, would vanish beneath the waves. But that's just the beginning. This isn't just a matter of a few coastal cities disappearing. It would trigger a domino effect of destruction. Major rivers, once fed by glaciers, would dry up, leading to severe droughts. Inland lakes and reservoirs that depend on seasonal ice melts would vanish, leaving millions without fresh water. And without the reflective ice caps, the Earth would absorb even more heat, accelerating climate change at an uncontrollable rate. But here's something even more mind-blowing. Ice isn't just sitting there doing nothing. It's a critical part of Earth's climate system. The polar ice caps act like giant mirrors, reflecting sunlight back into space and keeping the planet cool. Without them, the Earth would absorb more heat, creating a vicious cycle of warming. And it's not just the poles. Mountain glaciers, like those in the Himalayas and the Alps, are crucial for providing fresh water to billions of people. If they disappear, entire regions could face catastrophic water shortages. So when we talk about losing ice, we're not just talking about rising seas. We're talking about a complete upheaval of the systems that keep our planet habitable. Let's say all that ice melted fast. Within weeks, coastal cities would flood, forcing hundreds of millions of people to flee inland. Imagine highways jammed with desperate families, towering skyscrapers abandoned to the rising tides, and entire countries like the Netherlands, Bangladesh, and island nations gone. But here's where things get even crazier. The fresh water from all that ice would mess with ocean currents, throwing weather patterns into total chaos. Tsunamis would become more frequent as ice shelves collapse into the ocean, triggering massive shifts in the water's distribution. The air would be thick with humidity, making heat waves even deadlier. Floods, hurricanes, and storms would become regular occurrences, tearing apart infrastructure and economies. The cost of rebuilding would be astronomical, and many governments might not be able to recover. And let's not forget the human cost. Hospitals, schools, and power plants would be submerged, leaving survivors without basic services. Entire cultures and histories would be erased as coastal cities sink. The displacement of millions would lead to overcrowding in inland areas, straining resources and sparking conflicts. Imagine the chaos of trying to relocate entire populations. Where would they go? How would they survive? This wouldn't just be a natural disaster. It would be a humanitarian crisis on a scale we've never seen before. You see, our planet relies on something called the thermohaline circulation, also known as the ocean conveyor belt. This system regulates global temperatures by moving warm and cold water around the planet. But dump trillions of gallons of fresh water into the oceans, and this delicate balance collapses. The result? Supercharged hurricanes, deadly heat waves, and deserts spreading like wildfires. Europe could freeze, while the tropics burn hotter than ever. And if you think food prices are bad now, imagine a world where farmland turns into wasteland overnight. Agriculture as we know it would be in peril. Crops that rely on stable temperatures and predictable rainfall, wheat, rice, corn, would fail on a massive scale. Entire regions would become uninhabitable due to extreme heat or unrelenting storms. But it's not just about food. The collapse of the ocean conveyor belt would disrupt weather patterns so severely that some areas might experience perpetual winter, while others would face endless summer. Imagine snowstorms in July or heat waves in December. The unpredictability would make it nearly impossible to grow crops, plan infrastructure, or even travel safely. And as ecosystems collapse, diseases carried by insects and animals could spread to new areas, leading to global health crises. The world would become a place of constant uncertainty, where survival depends on adaptability and resilience. And let's not forget the wildlife. Polar bears, extinct. Penguins, gone. Coral reefs, bleached beyond recognition. The food chain would collapse, and species that depend on icy habitats, seals, whales, and countless fish would struggle to survive. This wouldn't just be an environmental crisis, it would be a mass extinction event. But it wouldn't stop at cold-adapted species. With extreme heat spreading across the planet, many animals would be forced to migrate to survive. Some might adapt, but most wouldn't stand a chance. Rainforests would shrink due to drought, wiping out biodiversity hotspots. Entire ecosystems, from the Amazon to the Siberian tundra, would undergo drastic changes, leading to an extinction rate higher than anything seen since the time of the dinosaurs. And let's not forget how this affects us. Without healthy ecosystems, human survival becomes even more uncertain. Pollinators like bees and butterflies would decline, threatening food production. Fish populations would plummet, leaving millions without a vital protein source. The loss of biodiversity would make ecosystems less resilient, meaning they'd be less able to recover from disasters. In short, the disappearance of ice wouldn't just be a tragedy for wildlife, it would be a catastrophe for humanity. So, what happens to us? Well, billions of people would be displaced, leading to global conflicts over land, food, and water. Megacities would be abandoned, and new ones would have to be built further inland. Some scientists believe humanity would adapt, maybe by building floating cities or moving underground. But let's be real, the world as we know it would never be the same. Nations would crumble under the pressure of mass migrations. Crime rates would soar as societies struggle to maintain order. Governments would have to implement drastic measures, rationing resources, imposing martial law, and even waging wars over the last habitable lands. The wealthy might build private sanctuaries, while the rest of the population fights for survival. Technology might help in some ways, but nothing can replace the stability that our planet's natural systems provide. Could we survive? Maybe, but it wouldn't be the life we know today. It would be a world of constant struggle, where every day is a battle for resources and survival. And the saddest part? This isn't some far-off dystopia. It's a future we're hurtling toward if we don't take action now. Now, before you start packing for the mountains, here's the good news. While ice is melting faster than ever, we still have time to slow things down. Reducing emissions, investing in renewable energy, and protecting our environment could buy us precious decades. Because once the ice is gone, there's no getting it back. And that's a reality we don't want to face. So what do you think? Could we survive a world without ice? Let me know in the comments. And if you love diving into these crazy what-if scenarios, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Remember, the future isn't set in stone. It's up to us to shape it. Let's make sure it's a future worth living in.